Chelsea 2, West Ham 1. Disappointing defeat, especially given the circumstances of both of Chelsea's goals, but still encouraging signs despite a West Ham team that was full of injuries, full of issues, lack of transfer window activity, you name it, it was there. And, the difference in quality did show in the end, but I definitely think we deserved something from the game. Maybe not all 3 points given the balance of play, but overall, I thought we performed quite well. We were competitive. We made it really, really difficult for Chelsea for large portions in the game. And yeah, it really is a shame that we didn't come away with anything from Stamford Bridge because the performance was definitely warranting of it, especially given the circumstances of the injuries and the lineup that we went with. And I think that's something we're going to touch on as well in this breakdown and this review show is, context is key. Context is everything. And we're going to need to make sure that we provide context where possible during this season. And, this game was a massive moment in kind of showing that, the amount of injury. We went with a midfield of Souček and Irvin. They've never played together before. It was Irvin's Premier League debut at Chelsea away. And we competed really, really well. And again, really unfortunate not to come away with anything from the game. But we'll get onto the goals very shortly. So if you do enjoy the breakdown, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content going forwards. And let's start with the lineups. So again, with West Ham's lineup, we were hoping that Somerville would maybe come in. Bowen was actually back and started, which I was a little bit cautious of, especially given the time frame he's been out for and the injury he had. It's a shame about Somerville, who also looks like he's got a longer hamstring injury, is going to be out for kind of 8 weeks now, which is frustrating. Alvarez as well was injured. Paqueta was injured. So we were forced to make some changes. The back five stayed the same, or back six, including Areola. Irving came in for Alvarez, as I mentioned. Then we had Soler, Kudus, and Bowen as our front three. So it was a really difficult test for West Ham, and I think we did well. We did well considering the circumstances. As I said, I think first half we were very solid defensively. Obviously, the game plan was to compact the midfield because Chelsea were inverting Cucurella and Reece James a lot. They weren't really providing width. Sancho was one side, Madueke was the other. Huge emphasis on those two to kind of beat our fullbacks or wingbacks in 1v1 positions, but we were really easily doubling up over there with the back five that we had. So yeah, it was just a really tough game for Chelsea in that first half. And that's credit to Graham Potter and the team. They worked extremely hard off the ball, but on the ball, we weren't good enough throughout the first half. And I just want to give a little view of the stats before we get into the first half breakdown. But these were the overall statistics of the game. Chelsea dominated possession with 68% to West Ham's 32. Expected goals of 1.67 to West Ham's 1.22. Total shots 22 to West Ham's 14. 3 shots on target to West Ham's 5. 2 big chances for Chelsea, 1 for West Ham. Both teams missing one of those big chances. You can see there, Chelsea 300 more passes. We committed 1 less foul, and Chelsea had 1 more corner than us. So yeah, it was kind of a weird game. As you can see here from the momentum, Chelsea obviously dominated possession and had more of a threat throughout the game because of that possession and the way we set up. But arguably, a lot of the chances that they created, they weren't clear cut. They had a couple in the first half. Palmer from the edge of the box that he skied. Madueke as well, who could have done better. Sancho as well. So they did create some opportunities, but it all came from West Ham's poor play and giving the ball away in tight situations. Jared Bowen did it. Kudus did it. And yeah, we were almost the victims of our own downfall in that sense. But when we were compact, when we got behind the ball, we were really difficult to break down. As I said, we were really congesting that middle part of the pitch and forcing Chelsea into 1v1 isolations out wide. And mentioned it in the preview, Sancho would do what he does. He comes inside. He's not a player that's going to beat you for pace on the outside. Madueke is slightly the same. He can go outside, but he's left-footed. He's going to want to come inside. So it was a difficult task for Chelsea, but I thought we did really, really well in managing it. And it was just on the ball that we were poor. I thought we gave up possession way too easily. There wasn't really any plan. I thought Chelsea's press was quite good in the first half. It stopped us from playing. And yeah, then we actually got the break just before half time, which we're going to go to for the first goal analysis. So let's take a look at the first goal, because it all comes from something we were trying throughout the first half, where when we had a goal kick, Souček was drifting out to Cucurella to compete aerially and try and win that knockdown into Kudus, into Bowen, Soler, Irving, whoever was around at the time. And this is an instance of where Souček does win the ball, and the effectiveness of Thomas Souček really came into fruition here. As we move this frame forwards as well, you'll be able to see exactly where the issues arose for Chelsea. And look, Colwell's a good player, but he just gets caught up in this moment. And Kudus, throughout the first half, was really frustrating on the ball and in possession. But out of possession, he was working extremely hard. He was pressing Colwell. That was definitely the trigger from Graham Potter, who obviously worked with Colwell at Brighton and brought him in on loan. So knew what type of weaknesses to target for him. And yeah, Kudus does really, really well to tassel with Colwell. And Bowen just makes that blind spot run between Caicedo and Tosin at the back there. And Zola made a good point of it on the match analysis at half time. Colwell should just go to this side of the goalkeeper. He shouldn't be going across goal just in case he does misplace that pass. And yeah, he gets caught out, complains for a foul, doesn't get it. It was never a foul. And Jared Bowen does what Jared Bowen does best, doesn't even look at the goal before shooting in this instance, and really places one into the bottom left-hand corner of the goalkeeper's net and puts West Ham 1-0 up with a fantastic finish. And it was like he'd never been away. Once again, Jared Bowen scoring for West Ham. And, that all comes from, it wasn't really a pretty sequence. It was an effective knockdown from Souček. It was the work rate of Kudus, and then it was the clinical finish of Jared Bowen. So, yeah, I mean, would I say we deserved to be going in 1-0 up? No. But it was a resilient performance, and definitely we were showing elements of danger going forwards when we were good in possession. But, as I said, in the first half, I don't think we were good enough, but it was good to go in at 1-0 and something to hold on to in the second half. However, that did kind of be the catalyst of our downfall, because it meant that we just dropped back 5 or 10 yards deeper than we probably should have. It forced Chelsea into early changes to tweak things. And that was the kind of biggest moment, is when Chelsea changed from how they were playing with inverted fullbacks with Cucurella and James, and they moved them wide. They moved Cucurella high and wide. They brought on Gusto. They brought on Neto. They made some really attacking changes and a change in style as well. So what they then tried to do was stretch the play, because we were shutting off the middle really, really well. But as the game went on and as fatigue set in, the gap started to appear for Chelsea to play through. And it just meant that Chelsea playing 5-10 yards wider either side with Cucurella and Gusto or Neto, it just allowed them that freedom to find the spaces between the lines and stretch West Ham. And to be honest, we struggled to deal with it. I don't think they were massively imposing or threatening, but it's, we'll look at how the goals came and the result of it. But it was frustrating because it looked like we were containing Chelsea really well up until this point, even with those tweaks where they'd gone high and wide with their fullbacks and tried to, spread the pitch as wide as possible. We were still doing okay. I don't think Chelsea were getting great success, but look, the first goal was what it was. And, we're going to go through it because this goal should not stand. Categorically, it should not stand. You can see here in the first phase, so 63rd minute, the ball's coming out, we're pushing out, Jared Bowen's chasing after the ball. Colwell, right in this picture here, he has a look over his shoulder. He sees Jared Bowen coming. So he actively makes the move towards Jared Bowen when he's running through and pushes him to the ground. It's the clearest foul you are ever going to see. I don't know how the ref hasn't given it. You can see the ref's position in there. He can see that. He's seen the big push from Colwell. And B, how VAR didn't turn this over. I mean, they were saying on commentary it was too far back, but I've seen many instances where VAR's intervened when it's been like a minute or 2 minutes before a goal. So I don't agree with that at all. I don't know how that wasn't given as a foul. And it was really frustrating because as the game was opening up, we were just starting to find a few different opportunities between the lines. And as the game went on, I think we could have stretched Chelsea even more and, really hurt Chelsea on the break and maybe got that second goal. But that should never happen. Categorically, that should not happen. That should be a foul. So whatever happens after this should be, rendered newts. To be honest, it shouldn't happen, but it does happen, and that's where we now need to, forget about that and analyze what we could have done better to prevent the following from happening. Because there were ample opportunities to prevent this goal from happening, even besides the Jared Bowen foul that didn't come. So Chelsea bring the ball forwards with Caicedo. They move it out to the right-hand side. You can see our back five line there. You can see the high and wide nature of Neto and Cucurella on the other side to provide that width for Chelsea. And yeah, this is something we need to note, because it means that there's a few different things that both Emerson and Wan-Bissaka need to be aware of. More so Wan-Bissaka, because it's as I'll show in the next clip. This is where we need to be careful. So the ball comes out to Neto, And I've said this 3 or 4 times now this season. Emerson too slow to stop in the cross, and it's way too easy for Neto to get this cross in. And to be honest, this should not be allowed to happen because Emerson was just miles off it. He allows Neto to just come inside and put in a really good cross into a dangerous area. But just note at the back post as well, we've said it before about Wan-Bissaka. He needs to be more switched on to these situations of runners coming in at the back post from crosses or situations like this because it keeps happening. And you can see Cucurella there running off the back of him. The ball comes across. It does eventually come to Cucurella, who plays it back with to be honest, quite a lucky pass to Enzo Fernandez. And we put our bodies in the line. We do block the first one. And just in the bottom right there, you can see not only did Emerson not stop the cross, he's standing still. And it's something you cannot do as a Premier League defender at this level because you will get hurt. Neto's on the move. He's bypassed Emerson after crossing the ball in, and Emerson's static. And if Emerson had just tucked in here, this isn't a goal. Emerson can kick it out for a corner. He can intercept. He can block, but he doesn't. And he allows Neto to make the run off the back of him. The deflection comes out to him, and Neto slots it underneath Areola to make it 1-1. So that was the most frustrating thing for me. Obviously, that situation that occurred there shouldn't have occurred because of the situations I explained with Jared Bowen and the foul that should have been given. However, saying that, when you analyze it back, there's a few errors there. So Emerson not stopping the block, Aaron Wan-Bissaka switching off at the back post, and then Emerson again switching off and allowing Neto to make that run in behind him and score the equalizer. So at this point, it was frustrating. I know West Ham fans were massively frustrated at this point. It was a really difficult watch at this point, but we needed to regroup. We needed to compose ourselves, and we needed to expect that Chelsea were going to push on. But as I said, we just started to drop a little bit too deep, and Chelsea at that point had their tails up. And you can see here just how deep we are. Chelsea pushed us really far back. Again, Cucurella really high and wide in this situation, giving Wan-Bissaka something to think about and to occupy that space. And it just created spaces and moments like this for Palmer to pick up spaces in here. So in the first half, our defensive line was 5 or 10 yards further forwards than it is here. Practically on the 6-yard line here. And also in the first half, you had Kudus dropping into that pocket. You had your midfield pivot closer together. So as the game progressed, we started to see these gaps open up. And that was a tactical tweak from Chelsea and also fatigue setting in for West Ham. But we just started to keep dropping back. And we got into more situations like this. And then another mistake happens. We saw it at Aston Villa a couple of weeks ago in the FA Cup, or maybe it was in the league game. I can't remember which one it was now. Souček on this instance gets stood up square. Cole Palmer does, he's an intelligent footballer. He recognizes this. So he pretends to come to the right, and then he makes a kind of a shuttle to the left-hand side to go outside Souček. So Palmer does really well to square Souček up and draw him into that game. But Souček it's just too easy. He gets past him way too easily to get into the next situation I'm about to show you. But look, it's a difficult one because Palmer's a very good player. He's a very agile player. Souček's not the most agile of players, but he just gets caught square up. And then just a huge slice of luck here. There isn't really much you can say. You may argue that Wan-Bissaka could be quicker in getting out and maybe not put out a lazy leg for this, but it's such a huge deflection that it just goes over Areola into the back of the net, and Chelsea take the lead and go 2-1 up, and that's how it ends. But that's a really frustrating goal. I'm more frustrated by the first goal because even with the Jared Bowen foul, I think there was more that we could have done to prevent the goal. There were a few different mistakes, as I mentioned. This one less so. I think that it's just a huge slice of luck for Cole Palmer to get that, and Wan-Bissaka has the own goal. But overall, considering the circumstances, we're still showing massive signs of improvement. On the ball, we have to be much better. But again, I'm caveating that with the fact that we're missing a lot of players and, a lot of key players as well, technically gifted players and players that are going to help us play progressive football. Todibo at the back, Paqueta not in the team, even Somerville out. There's these types of players that are limiting that ability for us. But I think the players can be very proud of their performance in terms of the effort and the work rate that they put in. It was tough. It was tough to watch as a West Ham fan. We didn't create loads of opportunities. Obviously, Chelsea dominated a lot of possession, and we weren't good enough on the ball to hurt Chelsea in moments where we could have. Even towards the end of the game, when Gil Herme come on, he looked fantastic. He took the game by the scruff of the neck and said, I've only got a few minutes to make an impact here, but let me try and change this game. And he was fantastic. You know, he was driving us forwards. He was direct. He was picking up the ball. He wasn't hiding away. You could say, you know, Carlos Soler for majority of the game, hiding. You know, players have been very, you know, actively hiding from the ball in the past at West Ham. And I think Carlos Soler was probably one of those players yesterday. And, you know, Gil Hermy said, I'm not going to do that. Let me show what I can do in this situation. And I thought he played really, really well. So that's encouraging signs as well. But a long way to go for West Ham under Graham Potter. I think the early signs are there. Still so much work to do. And obviously, we haven't really backed him in the transfer window. I know we've brought in Evan Ferguson on loan, but that's kind of it. You know, we've recalled James Ward-Prowse, so it'll be interesting to see how he fits into this team, whether he plays in the double pivot, whether he plays in a more advanced position behind the striker either side. I don't know what Graham Potter's going to do, but it's interesting to see how this is going to shape up. But we obviously don't play this weekend, so we've got time to get some players back. I'm hoping Paqueta will be back for then. Hopefully Todibo might be back for the Brentford game as well. And we need to just start gradually getting the squad back together, and, you know, step by step, starting to create a situation where Graham Potter's showcasing what he can do with more talented players on the pitch. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, I mean, gutted to lose this 1-2-1. I don't think Chelsea deserved to win on the balance of play, to be honest. But equally, I don't think West Ham deserved to win. I think a draw would have been a fair result. And yeah, it was frustrating how both of Chelsea's goals came about. But look, Chelsea will be saying the same. You know, a mistake from Colwell lets Bowen in and we score. So yeah, I mean, it's always difficult going to Stamford Bridge. It's never an easy ground to go to, no matter what form Chelsea are in. They have excellent players and they've invested a lot of money into their squad. And we were just a squad that was really stripped to its bare bones yesterday. It was a really difficult one to go through. But yeah, I didn't want to go into too much detail into this breakdown because there's so many nuances that are affecting it. We had so many players out. It's hard to kind of decipher what the main cause of this was. But I just think, you know, Chelsea had a lot of technical players. They were dominating at home. We dropped too far back because of that 1-0 lead in the second half. And to be fair to Maresca, he made some tactical changes very early on in the second half that impacted the game and stopped us from really progressing or trying to counterpunch Chelsea at times. So positives to take. Jared Bowen's back scoring. Luis Gil-Herme looked very positive when he came on. I thought Andy Irvine did okay as well, given it's his first Premier League start and, you know, he's not expected to be playing for West Ham right now. I thought the back line did all right as well. I thought Kilman started pretty shaky with his possession play. You know, he was just hoofing it long for no reason. But as he grew into the game, he became really good on the ball and was calm and composed back there. And I thought he dealt with the threats of any striker coming in very well. I thought we limited Chelsea's quality of chances throughout the game, especially in the second half. And it's just, as I said, frustrating how we've come to a defeat given the circumstances of Chelsea's goals. But we move on. Hopefully we can, as I said, regroup from this, get some players back and allow Potter a couple more weeks before that Brentford game to, you know, keep instilling his mentality, his tactics, his philosophy into this squad. And we'll see a change in fortunes for West Ham going forwards. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the game down below in the comments, because I've seen both sides of it on social media. I've seen fans being positive. I've seen fans being quite negative. So let me know where you currently sit with the situation from the defeat to Chelsea. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. And until the next one, come on, you Irons.